Ja Morant is coming across like a real idiot. Like he wants to be the Tupac Shakur of the NBA. This guy, the league, the future of the league is allegedly in his hands, but from all reports, this guy wants to be Tupac Shakur and is going to throw everything away to be an idiot. And part of me thinks that, playing in Memphis has influenced Ja's behavior. Memphis is, one of these cities that loves to brag about it's the murder capital and it's rough, it's tough, it's this, it's that. Young Dolph got killed here and Will Smoke, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Steve, what do you make of Ja Morant's off-court problems?
Ja Rule Morant. The guy, he does kind of remind me of one of those rappers. They talk like they're street and they live in the suburbs, but this is a Huxtable that's trying to be little Riley from the Boondocks. I don't know what else to really say. I mean, look, we always knew he could finish around the hoop. How's his mid-range shooting? Yeah, I said it. But, I don't expect anything different now. I really don't. This is who he is. This is what he is. Or this is what he wants to be in terms of his persona and behavior. And, again, you want to know why the league is in a bit of a free fall or at least a decline in terms of its overall popularity with the masses. I think that this is part of the problem. Look, in the late 70s, there was this perception about the league that everyone was on cocaine, they weren't relatable, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? Looking back at it, those were good guys for the most part. Yeah, they like their nose candy, but at the end of the day, who are they really hurting? And again, I want to make this clear for all the Ned Flanders out there, okay? I am not saying drug abuse or drug usage is something that should be done. I am not advocating for it. But the point that I'm making is there seems to be a certain mindset and a mentality. And again, I think it's unfair for me to cast everyone with the same stone, whatever. But if Ja Morant is one of the faces of the league, and that is what you are conveying, fine. I think the public has a right to say, you know what, let us step back. Let us step back from this a little bit.
Steve, listening to you at the beginning talk about the NBA in the 70s, where my head went to is, remember in the early 2000s, it seemed like, or maybe it was late 2000s, the NFL kept having all these off-field problems. The Cincinnati Bengals, and the next thing you know, the mainstream media had talked Roger Goodell into, we got to clean up the image of football players and you got to become the czar of discipline. And that's when the NFL, the media had talked the NFL into, like, you got an image problem with your players, they're all getting arrested, they're all getting in trouble, and you got to clean it up. And so he took on that job, and the NFL's code of conduct policy or whatever came into effect. The NFLPA signed off on it, and I think we're here again, I think, with NFL and NBA players, that they all wanted to go the Colin Kaepernick social justice warrior route, but in reality, what they actually do is they all want to be rappers. They don't want to be social justice warriors. They want to be rappers. They want that same image, and that seems to be what corporate America is rewarding. All these leagues have embraced hip hop and the gangster rap thing. I was watching a Lakers game or somebody's game, and you could hear the rap during the timeout. The rap music was playing during the timeout, and it was gangster rap music. And when I look at NFL, NBA players, from all the tats to the way the cornrows and just everything they do with their hair, everything is about posturing, about being a tough guy. And Ja Morant is caught up in that, but no one seems to be pointing to the fact, like, this is a crisis or a problem. It's all just a one-off. Let's ignore that, and let's. The real story is, anytime someone's killed in some faraway city, that's what we want to ask NBA players and NFL players about. We don't want to ask them about their own personal conduct and how much of it looks crazy and gangster.
Jason, that's why when modern day athletes try to wag the finger at the American public and try to act as social justice warriors or cultural leaders, no one takes them seriously. They don't even have their own house in order. They're not nearly educated enough. And outside of a few gestures, like I've said, they'll do a hashtag, they'll wear a t-shirt, they might take a knee, but anything meaningful they will not do while they retreat to largely white gated communities. Okay. And so think about how far we've come, though, going back to Morant. I remember how, I don't want to say demonized, but how much criticism Allen Iverson took for his image, or even magazines would airbrush his tats off, right? And they didn't like his hair. But when you look back at Allen Iverson compared to Morant, he's like an angel. I mean, what did Allen Iverson really do?
That's an overstatement.
Well,
that's an
okay.
overstatement.
Okay, might be, but okay, so Allen Iverson, he didn't pass the ball enough. Teammates didn't really like playing with him all the time, right? Didn't show up to practice. Yeah, practice. Man, we talking about practice. He infuriated Larry Brown, okay? Ate way too much Taco Bell before practice for a professional athlete. Wasn't always the most professional. Probably gambled a little bit too much. I heard that was an issue. But you know what? I'll take Allen Iverson.
Bowling alley brawl,
as a kid,
and had to be sprung from jail by John Thompson.
As a kid, and there are still questions about what was the role that he played, and did he really precipitate it, and how much did he partake in it? But he paid his price to society. So I'm not going to hold that against him. But purely as an NBA player, with the responsibilities that he had, you know what I respect about him? He didn't load manage. He put that little 147 pounds of flabby, not very muscular flesh on the line. He laid it out there, and he gave you a show. The more I look back at it, I'm like, you know what? I'm good with AI. I am good with AI. I would rather watch that than what is going on today.
Ja Morant had the problem with the Indiana Pacers, and his buddy Pac, his best friend, for some reason I can't think of his first name right now, but his buddy Pac is at that Pacer game and walks onto the court during a dispute. This is a fan, but Ja Morant's friend is sitting courtside, walks onto the court, gets involved in this dispute, and then after the game, and this was all reported in real time or within 24, 48, 72 hours after it happened, the Pacers felt like someone tried to intimidate them after the game by flashing a red laser light into a car